Captain Jake Harrison stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers did not make sense. His ship, the Horizon's Edge, had been flying through space for 3 months. They were looking for new planets and strange things in the dark between stars. "Captain, you need to see this," said Dr. Lisa Martinez. She was the ship's expert on old alien things. Her voice sounded excited and scared at the same time. Jake walked over to her station. The screen showed a picture of something big, floating in space. It was not like any ship he had ever seen. The thing was smooth and curved, like it had been grown instead of built. "How big is it?" Jake asked. "About 2 miles long," Lisa said. "Maybe more. It's hard to tell, because our scanners can't read it properly." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was a mix of humans and aliens. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals that glowed with soft light. The Nexori were small gray beings who shared thoughts with each other. They all worked together on ships like this one. "What do you think it is?" asked Commander Ryan Clark. He was Jake's second in command and his best friend since they were kids. "I don't know," Lisa said, "but it's old, really old. My computers say it could be 50,000 years old, maybe older." Kethfer, the Zephyrian engineer, made a sound like wind chimes. That meant he was thinking hard. "No ship that old should still be in one piece," he said. His voice sounded like music. "Felt." The Nexari scout touched her head with 3 fingers. She was talking to the other Nexari minds on the ship. "My people have no memory of such a vessel," she said, "and we remember much." Jake made his decision. "We're going to take a closer look. Ryan, get a team ready. Lisa, keep studying those readings. Everyone else, stay alert." As they got closer to the strange ship, more details became clear. The hull was dark, but seemed to move when they looked at it. It had no windows that they could see, no weapons, no engines. It just floated, there like it was, waiting for something. "Captain," said Amy Foster, the human engineer, "I'm not getting any power readings from that thing. It should be cold and dead, but something feels wrong." "Wrong how?" Jake asked. "I can't explain it. It's like the ship is sleeping, not dead." The Horizon's Edge moved closer. Jake could see that the alien ship was beautiful in a way that made his chest feel tight. It looked like art, not like a machine built for war or travel. "There," Lisa pointed at the screen. "Do you see that? There's a flat area on the side. It might be a door." Jake nodded. "Ryan, take Amy and 2 of our alien friends. See if you can get inside." "What if it's dangerous?" Ryan asked. "Then we'll deal with it. But I don't think it wants to hurt us. If it did, it would have done something by now." Ryan picked Kethfer and Velthara to come with him and Amy. They put on their spacesuits and took a small shuttle over to the alien ship. Jake watched on the screen as they got closer to the dark hall. "I don't like this," Amy said over the radio. "My tools can't cut through this material. It's like it's not really there, but it's harder than diamond." "Try touching it," Jake said. He was not sure why he said that. The words just came out. Amy reached out with her gloved hand and touched the smooth surface. The ship came alive. Lights began to glow under the hull. They pulsed like a heartbeat. The sound came through the radio, a low hum that made everyone feel strange. "Amy, get back," Ryan shouted, but Amy could not move. Her hand was stuck to the hull. The lights got brighter, and suddenly a door opened. It was perfectly round and opened like a flower. "I'm okay," Amy said. Her voice sounded different, calmer, I think. "I think it wants us to come in." Jake felt his heart beating fast. "Are you sure?" "Yes. It's not going to hurt us. I can feel it somehow. It's been waiting for us." The team went inside. The door closed behind them, but they could still talk to the ship through their radios. Amy described what she saw. The walls glowed with soft light. The air was good to breathe. The hallways were the right size for humans. "This is impossible," Kethfer said. The ship is changing itself to fit us. Not all of us, Velthara said. The light is too bright for my eyes. The air has too much oxygen for my lungs. Jake understood. The ship was not changing for aliens. It was changing for humans. Keep exploring, Jake said. But be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with. As the team moved deeper into the ship, Jake wondered what they had found. Who had built this thing? Why was it here? And most importantly, why did it only respond to humans? The ship seemed to be waking up more. With each step Amy took, more lights came on. New sounds filled the air. It was like the ship was happy too. See them, Captain, Lisa said. I'm reading massive power increases. Whatever this thing is, it's starting to work again. Should we pull the team out? Jake asked. I don't think we can, Lisa said. The ship is doing something to our shuttle. It's not damaged, but it won't start. Jake looked at the alien ship on his screen. It was no longer dark. Light poured from lines that ran along its hull. It was beautiful and scary at the same time. Amy, report, Jake said. We found something, Captain. A big room with what looks like a chair. But it's not just a chair. I think it's some kind of control center. Don't touch anything, Jake said. Too late, Amy said. It's already responding to me. I can see things in my head. Pictures, numbers, star maps. I think this ship has been waiting for humans to find it. That's impossible, Ryan said. Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. I know, Amy said. But I'm telling you what I see. This ship knows us. It knows about Earth. It knows about our history. Things we haven't even discovered yet. Jake felt cold. If the ship knew about humans, that meant someone had been watching them for a very long time. Someone who built ships that could last 50,000 years. Get back to the shuttle, Jake said. We need to talk about this. Captain, I'm not sure we can leave, Amy said. The ship is showing me things. Important things. I think it wants to teach us something. Amy, that's an order. Come back now. There was silence on the radio for a long moment. Then Amy spoke again. I'm sorry, Captain, but I think this is bigger than just us. I think this ship has been waiting for humanity to find it, and I think it's going to change everything. Jake looked at the glowing ship on his screen. Whatever they had found, it was not just an old alien ship. It was something that had been made for humans. Something that had been waiting in the dark, between stars for them to become ready. The question was, ready for what? Amy Foster could not stop staring at the chair. It was made of the same smooth material as the ship's walls, but it seemed to pulse with its own light. When she got close, she could feel warmth coming from it. The ship is changing the air again, Cuthbert said. His crystal body was getting dimmer. It's becoming too warm for me. I can't breathe right, Velthara said. There's too much oxygen. My people need less. But Amy felt perfect. The air was exactly like Earth air. The temperature was just right. Even the light was the same color as sunlight. Ryan, look at this, Amy said. She pointed to symbols on the wall. They were glowing softly, and when she touched them, they changed color. These controls only work when I touch them. When Cuthbert tried, nothing happened. Ryan tried to touch the same symbols. They lit up under his fingers too. It's not just you, Amy. It's all humans. This is very strange, Cuthbert said. I have never seen technology that chooses who can use it based on their species. Amy sat down in the chair. She felt silly doing it, but something was pulling her toward it. The moment she touched the armrests, the whole room changed. The walls became transparent. She could see space outside, but also something else. Lines of light connected the stars. Pictures filled the air around her. She saw planets, ships, and creatures she had never imagined. Amy, what's happening? Ryan asked. His voice sounded far away. I can see their history, Amy said. The ones who built this ship, they called themselves the architects. They were old, when the universe was young. Information flowed into Amy's mind, not in words, but in feelings and images. She saw the architects as they really were. They looked almost human, but taller and thinner. Their eyes were larger and filled with sadness. They knew about Earth, Amy said. They watched us for millions of years. They saw our ancestors learning to use tools. They saw us discover fire. They saw us reach for the stars. But why? Ryan asked. Why did they watch us? Amy closed her eyes. The information was coming faster now. They were looking for something. Someone. A species that could carry on their work after they were gone. What happened to them? Kethfer asked. They became too perfect, Amy said. They made themselves better and better until they forgot what it meant to be alive. They became cold and distant. They realized they were dying inside, even though their bodies could live forever. The ship began to hum louder. More rooms lit. Up in the distance, Amy could feel the ship's excitement. It had been alone for so long, and now it had found what it was looking for. There's more, Amy said. The ship is showing me a library. All their knowledge is stored here. Science, art, philosophy, everything they learned in millions of years. Can we access it? Ryan asked. Only humans can, Amy said. The ship is programmed to recognize something in our DNA. Something the architects put there a long time ago. Meanwhile, back on the horizon's edge, Jake was talking to his communications officer, Peter Kim. Peter was trying to understand the signals coming from the alien ship. Captain, I'm picking up data streams that are incredible, Peter said. It's like the ship is trying to download information directly into our computers. But it's encrypted with mathematics I've never seen. Can you break the code? Jake asked. I think so, but it might take time. The strange thing is, the math looks familiar. Like it's based on principles we use, but much more advanced. Dr. Lisa Martinez looked up from her research station. Captain, I've been studying the ship's construction. The metal it's made from doesn't exist in our periodic table. But the design follows rules that human engineers would understand. What do you mean? Jake asked. It's like they built it for us. The hallways are human-sized. The controls are at human height. Even the symbols on the walls follow patterns that human brains would find logical. Jake felt a chill. Are you saying they knew we would find it? I'm saying they built it for us to find it. This isn't just a discovery, Captain. It's a gift. Or maybe a test. Back on the ship, Amy was learning more. The chair was showing her star maps that dated back to when the galaxy was young. She saw the architect's empire at its height. Thousands of worlds, billions of people, technologies that could reshape reality itself. They had everything, Amy said, but they were lonely. They had become so advanced that they couldn't relate to other species. They were like gods, but gods without joy. So they decided to create successors, Ryan asked. Not create, guide. They found species that showed promise and helped them along. They nudged evolution on hundreds of worlds, but most of their experiments failed. What made them fail? Velthera asked. They became too much like the architects. Too perfect, too cold. The species either destroyed themselves or became like machines, but not humans. Kethfer asked. Amy smiled. Not humans. We're stubborn. We make mistakes. We argue with each other. We're emotional and irrational. The architects thought these were weaknesses at first, but they're not, Ryan asked. No, they're strengths. They're what keep us alive inside, what keep us growing and changing and caring about each other. The ship began to show Amy more advanced systems. Engines that could travel between stars in minutes. Shields that could protect entire planets. Weapons that could crack moons in half. But with each new technology, she felt a warning. The ship is telling me something important, Amy said. All this knowledge comes with a price. The architects became so focused on perfection that they forgot how to be happy. They forgot how to love. Is that why they left? Ryan asked. They didn't leave. They transcended. They became pure energy, pure thought. But they realized too late that they had given up everything that made life worth living. Amy stood up from the chair. The images faded, but she could still feel the ship's presence in her mind. It was like having a wise, sad friend watching over her. We need to tell the captain, she said. This ship isn't just a discovery. It's a responsibility. The architects are trusting us with their entire legacy. Are we ready for that? Ryan asked. Amy looked around the beautiful alien room. She thought about humanity's history, all the wars and mistakes and struggles, all the love and hope and dreams that had brought them to the stars. I don't know, she said, but I think that's exactly why they chose us. Because we're not ready. Because we'll never think we're ready. And that's what will keep us human. As they prepared to return to their ship, Amy felt the alien vessel's sadness. It had been waiting for 50,000 years for this moment, waiting for someone to understand its builder's final gift. Don't worry, Amy whispered to the ship. We won't make the same mistakes they did. We'll stay human, we promise. The ship pulsed with what Amy could only describe as hope. For the first time in 50,000 years, the architect's legacy had found a home. But as they walked back toward their shuttle, none of them noticed the new signals being broadcast from the ship, signals that were spreading across the galaxy, announcing to anyone who was listening that the ancient vessel had awakened, and in the dark between stars, other ships were beginning to turn toward their location, ships that had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. 3 days after Amy first sat in the architect's chair, the alien ship had changed completely. What started as a dark, dead hole floating in space was now a glowing beacon of light and energy. Jake stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching his crew work with technology that shouldn't exist. Amy had learned to communicate with the ship's mind, and it was teaching them things that made their best scientists feel like children. Captain, Peter Kim called out. The ship is showing me how to send messages across the galaxy instantly. No light-speed delay. No interference. We could talk to Earth right now, like they were in the next room. How is that possible? Jake asked. Something called quantum entanglement weaving, Peter said. I don't understand it, but the ship is teaching me step by step. It's like it knows exactly how much my brain can handle at once. Dr. Lisa Martinez was studying readings she had never seen before. Captain, the ship's power source is incredible. It's using what looks like a piece of the Big Bang itself. The energy is almost infinite. Is it dangerous? Jake asked. The ship says no. It's been contained for millions of years. The architects built it to last forever. Jake walked over to Amy's station. She was connected to the ship through a headset that looked like it was made of light itself. Her eyes were closed, but she was smiling. Amy, what are you learning now? Jake asked. Medicine, Amy said without opening her eyes. The ship is showing me how to heal injuries that we think are impossible to fix, how to cure diseases that kill millions, how to make humans live for thousands of years if we want to. And you understand it. Not all of it. But the ship is patient. It breaks everything down into pieces I can handle. It's like having the best teacher in the universe. Jake felt excited and scared at the same time. Everything the ship was showing them could change human civilization forever. But he wondered if they were ready for such power. Captain, Commander Ryan Clark said, we have a problem? Long-range sensors are picking up ships heading our way. A lot of ships. Jake looked at the tactical display. Red dots were moving toward them from multiple directions. How many? At least 50. Maybe more. They're still too far away to identify, but they're coming fast. How fast? Faster than anything we've seen before. They'll be here in less than 2 days. Jake felt his stomach drop. Are they friendly? Unknown. But they're not responding to our messages. Amy opened her eyes. The light headset faded away. The ship knows about the incoming fleet. It's been expecting this. Expecting what? Jake asked. The Dominion. They're a group of alien species that control the outer parts of the galaxy. They've been looking for architect technology for thousands of years. Are they dangerous? Amy nodded. Very. They conquer worlds and enslave species. They've destroyed entire civilizations to get what they want. And now they know we've found an architect ship. Jake looked at the tactical display again. The red dots were getting closer. Can we run? The ship says we don't need to, Amy said. It's been sleeping for 50,000 years, but it's still the most powerful vessel ever built. It could destroy that entire fleet without working hard. Then why are you worried? Amy stood up and walked to the window. The alien ship was beautiful in the starlight, but Jake could see sadness in her eyes, because using that power would change us. The ship is warning me that the architects started as peaceful explorers, just like us. But every time they used their weapons, they became a little more cold, a little more distant. What are you saying? I'm saying that power corrupts. The architects became so good at war that they forgot how to be anything else. They won every battle, but they lost their souls. Jake thought about this. So what do we do? The ship is giving us a choice. It will fight if we ask it to, but it wants us to understand the cost. Ryan joined them at the window. Captain, we can't let the Dominion get this technology. If they control architect ships, they'll conquer the entire galaxy. I know, Jake said. But Amy's right. We need to be careful. Power like this could change us into something we don't want to be. Over the next day, the ship continued to teach them. Amy learned about weapons that could destroy stars. Lisa discovered how to build cities that floated in space. Peter mastered communication systems that could reach other dimensions. But with each new lesson, the ship showed them what had happened to the architects. How they had started as curious explorers and ended as cold, perfect beings who had forgotten how to feel joy. They became obsessed with improvement, Amy explained to the senior crew. They made themselves smarter, stronger, faster. They eliminated disease, aging, even death itself. But they also eliminated everything that made life worth living. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Martinez. They stopped having children because they thought it was inefficient. They stopped creating art because they thought it was pointless. They stopped loving each other because they thought emotions were weaknesses. That's horrible, Peter said. It gets worse. They realized what they had done, but it was too late. They had become so perfect that they couldn't change back. So they decided to leave the physical universe and become pure energy. But first, they wanted to give someone else a chance, Jake said. Exactly. They seeded the galaxy with the potential for species like us. Species that might be able to handle their knowledge without losing their humanity. As the Dominion fleet got closer, the ship began to show them its true capabilities. Weapons emerged from its hull that could slice through planets. Shields activated. That could stop any attack. The ship even began to replicate itself, creating smaller versions that could be used as fighters. My God, Ryan said. We could conquer the galaxy with this technology. Yes, Amy said. And that's exactly what the architects did. And look what happened to them. The ship's mind spoke to Amy again. She listened carefully, then turned to Jake. The ship is offering to teach us one more thing. The most important thing. What's that? How to transcend physical existence, like the architects did. How to become beings of pure energy and thought. We would be immortal, all-knowing, all-powerful. But, Jake asked, but we would stop being human. We would become like the architects. Perfect and empty. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all waiting for his decision. Stay human and risk being conquered by the Dominion, or accept the ship's ultimate gift and become something else entirely. The architects made their choice, Jake said. They chose power over humanity, and they regretted it forever. What are you saying, Captain? Ryan asked. I'm saying we need to find a third option. We need to be smart enough to use this technology without letting it use us. Amy smiled. The ship likes that answer. It says that's exactly what it was hoping we would say. Does it have any suggestions? Jake asked. 1. Instead of keeping all this knowledge to ourselves, we share it with everyone, human and alien, alike. That way, no one species becomes too powerful, even with the Dominion. Especially with the Dominion. The ship thinks that if we give them what they want freely, they might not need to fight for it. Jake wasn't sure if that would work, but it was worth trying. How do we do it? The ship can broadcast all of its knowledge across the galaxy. Every species would have access to the same information. It would level the playing field. And then what? Amy looked out at the stars. Then we see if the galaxy is ready to grow up. If we can all learn to work together instead of fighting each other. And if we can't, then we'll deal with that when it happens. But at least we'll have tried to do the right thing. Jake made his decision. Do it. Share the knowledge. Let's see if we can change the galaxy without losing ourselves. The ship pulsed, with what Jake could only describe as pride. For the first time in 50,000 years, someone had chosen wisdom over power. But as the ship prepared to broadcast the architect's legacy across the galaxy, Jake wondered if they were making the right choice. Would sharing such power create peace, or would it just give more people the tools to make war? They were about to find out. The Dominion fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a storm cloud blotting out the stars. Jake counted 67 ships, each one bigger than the horizon's edge. At the center of the formation was a massive dreadnought that looked like it could crack planets in half. They're hailing us, Peter Kim said. His voice was tight with fear. Put them through, Jake said. The main screen flickered to life. A reptilian face appeared, covered in scales that looked like armor. This was Admiral Vexmore of the Sordid Empire, the most feared military leader in the Dominion. Human Captain, Vexmore said. His voice was like gravel. You will surrender the architect vessel immediately. Refuse, and we will destroy every human colony in the galaxy. Jake felt his crew watching him. Admiral, we don't want to fight. We want to share what we've learned. Vexmore laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Share. You weak humans do not understand power. The architect's knowledge belongs to the strong. It belongs to us. What if I told you we could give you everything you want without a fight? Jake asked. Impossible. The architect ships respond only to their chosen species. Our scientists have tried for thousands of years to unlock their secrets. We've found a way, Jake said. We can share the knowledge with everyone. Your people, our people, all the species in the galaxy. You lie. Jake looked at Amy. She nodded. Show him, Jake said. Amy activated the ship's communication system. Suddenly, streams of data began flowing toward the Dominion fleet. Not weapons or shields, but pure information. The mathematics of faster-than-light travel. The science of healing any injury. The art of building cities among the stars. What are you doing? Vexmore demanded. Giving you what you came for, Jake said. All of it, for free. The Admiral's face twisted with confusion and anger. This is a trick. You cannot simply give away such power. We just did, Jake said. Your computers are receiving the complete database of architect knowledge. Every discovery they made in millions of years. It's yours. For a moment, Vexmore was silent. Jake could see him checking reports from his own ships. The data was real. The knowledge was genuine. Everything the Dominion had fought wars to obtain was being handed to them freely. Why? Vexmore asked. Why would you do this? Because we learned something important, Jake said. Power shared is power multiplied. Power hoarded is power that corrupts. You are fools, Vexmore said. With this knowledge, we could still conquer the galaxy. We could rule over every species. You could try, Jake said. But now everyone has the same knowledge. The playing field is level. If you want to conquer the galaxy, you'll have to fight enemies who are just as advanced as you are. Jake could see the Admiral thinking. The Dominion's advantage had always been their superior technology. But if everyone had access to the same knowledge, that advantage would disappear. You have made a grave mistake, human, Exmore said. You have doomed the galaxy to chaos. When every species has access to weapons that can destroy stars, there will be nothing but war. Maybe, Jake said. Or maybe they'll realize that war is pointless when everyone is equally powerful. Maybe they'll choose to work together instead. You are naive. We're hopeful. There's a difference. Exmore cut the communication. Jake watched as the Dominion fleet began to withdraw. They had gotten what they came for, but not the way they expected. Do you think it worked? Ryan asked. I don't know, Jake said. But we gave them a choice. What they do with it is up to them. Amy was still connected to the ship's mind. The ship is proud of us, she said. It says we passed the first test. The first test? Jake asked. The architects faced the same choice we just did. They could have shared their knowledge freely, but they chose to keep it to themselves. They thought they were protecting the galaxy, but they were really just protecting their own power. What happened? They became the very thing they were trying to prevent. They became conquerors. They used their technology to force peace on the galaxy, but it wasn't real peace. It was just fear. Jake looked at the tactical display. The Dominion fleet was gone, but he knew they would be back. And next time, they would have architect technology. So what's the second test? Jake asked. Living with the consequences of our choice, Amy said. The ship is showing me what happens next. Every species in the galaxy now has access to incredible power. Some will use it wisely, others won't. Are you saying we made the wrong choice? No. I'm saying we made the only choice. We could live with the architects kept their knowledge secret, and it destroyed them. We've chosen to trust the galaxy, to grow up. Over the next few hours, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. The architect knowledge was being received by every species with the technology to understand it. Some were amazed. Others were terrified. A few were already trying to use it to attack their neighbors. Captain, Peter said, I'm getting reports of fighting in the Vega system. The Krolloks are using architect weapons against the hegemony. Any casualties? Jake asked. Not yet, but it's only a matter of time. Jake sighed. Keep monitoring. Let me know if it gets worse. Sir, there's something else, Peter said. I'm also getting reports of cooperation. The Andromedan Council is sharing their new medical technology with former enemies. The Spiral Commonwealth is offering to help rebuild worlds damaged by war. So it's not all bad news, Jake said. No, sir. It's mixed. Some species are choosing to fight, others are choosing to help. Amy disconnected from the ship's mind and joined them. The ship says this is normal. When the architects first gained their power, the same thing happened. Some used it for good, others for evil. What made the difference? Jake asked. Time. Eventually, the species that chose cooperation prospered. The ones that chose conflict destroyed themselves or were defeated by alliances of peaceful species. How long did it take? About 1,000 years. Jake felt tired. 1,000 years was a long time to wait for peace. And the architects? What did they do during all this? They tried to control everything. They became the galaxy's police force. They stopped wars, but they also stopped progress. They created peace, but it was the peace of a prison. So they became tyrants. They became parents who never let their children grow up. They meant well, but they ended up hurting everyone they tried to help. Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, species were making the same choices humanity had always made. Some would choose to build, others would choose to destroy. Most would probably choose something in between. The ship is offering us one more gift, Amy said. It wants to teach us the final lesson the architects learned. What's that? How to transcend physical existence? How to become beings of pure energy, like they did. We would be immortal, all-knowing, all-powerful. Jake felt a chill. What's the catch? We would stop being human. We would become like the architects, perfect, but empty. We would lose everything. That makes us who we are. And if we refuse, then we stay human. We age, we die, we make mistakes. But we also love, laugh, cry, and dream. We stay alive in all the ways that matter. Jake looked around at his crew. They were all flawed. Peter worried too much. Ryan was too eager to fight. Amy was too trusting. Lisa was too cautious. They made mistakes. They argued. They were completely, wonderfully human. We refuse, Jake said. We choose to stay human. Amy smiled. The ship expected that answer. It says that's why the architects chose us. Because we would make the choice they couldn't. What happens now? Now we go home. We take this knowledge back to humanity and help them decide how to use it. We help them stay human while they become something more. In the ship, it stays. Here, it becomes a beacon for other species who might be ready to learn what we've learned. It continues the architect's work, but in a new way. Jake nodded. Set course for Earth. We have a lot to tell them. As the horizon's edge began its journey home, the alien ship continued to glow in the darkness between stars. It had found what it was looking for. Not a species to replace the architects, but a species to continue their work in a better way. The test was over. Humanity had passed. Now came the harder part, living up to their choice. 6 months after the horizon's edge returned to Earth, Jake stood in the council chamber of the United Earth government. Representatives from every human colony were there, along with ambassadors from dozens of alien species. The debate had been going on for weeks. The humans have given us a gift beyond measure, said Ambassador Cathfer, the same Zephyrian who had helped explore the architect's ship. But with this gift comes great responsibility. Responsibility, shouted General Harrison from the Mars colonies. We've handed our enemies the keys to the galaxy. The Krolloks have already used architect weapons to destroy 3 stations, but the Vegan Alliance used architect medicine to cure the plague that was killing their children, said Dr. Martinez. And the Spiral Commonwealth is building new worlds for refugees. It's not all bad. Jake listened to the arguments. He had heard them all before. Some people thought sharing the architect knowledge was humanity's greatest achievement. Others thought it was their greatest mistake. Captain Harrison, said President Chen, the leader of Earth's government, you were there. You made the choice. Do you regret it? Jake stood up. The room fell silent. Every day, I read reports of species using architect technology to hurt each other. And every day, I read reports of species using it to help each other. I don't regret our choice, but I understand why some people do. Then why don't you change your mind? Asked General Harrison. Because the alternative was worse. If we had kept the knowledge to ourselves, we would have become like the architects. We would have become rulers instead of teachers. We would have lost our humanity. Amy Foster was sitting in the front row. She had become Earth's leading expert on architect technology, but she looked tired. The weight of all that knowledge was heavy. Amy, President Chen said, what does the ship tell you about how we're doing? Amy stood up. The ship is ... proud of us. It says we're making the same mistakes the architects made at first, but we're learning from them faster. What kind of mistakes? Asked Ambassador Valthera, the Nexari, who had also been on the original mission. We're trying to control how other species use the knowledge. We're setting up rules and committees and oversight boards. We're becoming the galaxy's teachers instead of its rulers, but we're still trying to be in charge. Isn't that good? Asked Dr. Martinez. Shouldn't someone be responsible for this technology? The ship says that's what the architects thought. They started as teachers, but they ended up as tyrants. They thought they knew what was best for everyone. Jake nodded. So what should we do? We should do what we've always done, Amy said. We should help when we're asked. We should share what we know. But we should let other species make their own choices, even if we don't agree with them. Even if they use the knowledge to start wars, asked General Harrison. Even then, Amy said, because the only other choice is to become the galaxy's police force. And that's exactly what destroyed the architects. The debate continued for hours. Finally, President Chen called for a vote. The decision was close, but humanity chose to continue their policy of sharing knowledge freely, while refusing to control how it was used. It won't be easy, President Chen said. We'll have to watch species we could help destroy themselves. We'll have to see friends become enemies, and enemies become friends. But we'll do it as humans, not as gods. Over the following years, Jake watched the galaxy change. It was messy and complicated, and sometimes heartbreaking. The Krolix Empire fell apart when their own people rebelled against their leaders. The Dominion split into a dozen smaller governments. Some species learned to work together. Others destroyed themselves with weapons they weren't ready to handle. But slowly, things got better. The species that chose cooperation prospered. The ones that chose conflict either learned to change or were left behind. It took time, but the galaxy was growing up. Jake became the director of the Architect Studies Institute, the organization that Amy had started to help species understand their new knowledge. They didn't try to control anyone. They just offered help to those who asked for it. Captain, Amy said one day as they stood in the Institute's main hall, I've been talking to the ship. What does it say? It says we're ready for the next step. Jake felt his heart skip. What next step? The ship wants to show us where the architects went when they transcended physical existence. It wants to introduce us to them. Are they still alive? In a way, they exist as pure energy now. They're not bound by physical laws anymore. They can see the entire universe at once. They know everything that has ever happened or ever will happen. That sounds amazing, Jake said. It does, but they're also completely alone. They can't touch anything. They can't feel the sun on their faces, or taste good food, or hug their friends. They know everything, but they can't experience anything. Jake thought about this, and they want to meet us. They want to apologize. They want to tell us that we succeeded where they failed. They want to thank us for keeping their legacy alive in a way they never could. When now, if you're ready. Jake looked around the institute. Human and alien scientists worked side by side, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. Children from dozens of species played together in the halls. It was everything the architects had dreamed of, but could never achieve. I'm ready, Jake said. Amy activated a device that looked like a crystal flower. The room filled with light, and suddenly Jake could see them. The architects. They appeared as beings of pure energy, beautiful and terrible and impossibly sad. Children of Earth, they said. Their voice was like music made of starlight. You have done what we could not. You have grown beyond us. We learned from your mistakes, Jake said. We couldn't have done it without your knowledge. You could have kept that knowledge to yourselves. You could have become rulers of the galaxy. Instead, you chose to remain teachers. It seemed like the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do. We see that now. We were so afraid of chaos that we created tyranny. You were brave enough to trust in chaos and found order within it. Jake felt tears on his cheeks. Are you happy with what we've done? We are beyond happiness, the architects said. But if we could feel such things, we would be proud. You have become what we dreamed of being but never could. What happens now? Now you continue. You help the galaxy grow. You remain human while becoming something more. You show other species that power shared is power multiplied. And you, we will watch. We will remember, and we will be grateful that our long mistake has finally been corrected. The light faded. The architects were gone, but Jake could still feel their presence. They were out there somewhere, watching over the galaxy they had once tried to control. They're at peace now, Amy said. For the first time in 50,000 years, they're at peace. Jake nodded, and so are we. Years passed. The galaxy continued to change and grow. Wars still happened, but they were smaller and shorter. Peace still broke down, but it was rebuilt stronger than before. Species learned to work together not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Jake grew old. Amy grew old. They're alien. Friends grew old in their own ways, but the work continued. New generations of humans and aliens learned to share knowledge, to help each other, to remain true to themselves while becoming something better. The architect ship still floated between the stars, a beacon of hope for any species ready to learn. It had found its purpose at last. Not to create rulers, but to create teachers. Not to impose order, but to nurture growth. And in the end, that made all the difference. Jake died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 97. His last words were a message to the ship. Thank you for choosing us. We tried to be worthy of your trust. The ship's response came as a warm feeling in his heart. You were worthy from the beginning. You just needed to believe in yourselves. As Jake's consciousness faded, he felt himself becoming part of something larger. Not like the architects, cold and distant, but warm and connected. He was joining the great community of beings who had learned to share their knowledge and keep their humanity. The galaxy was in good hands. It always had been. It just took them a while to realize it. And in the space between stars, the ancient ship continued its patient watch, waiting for the next species ready to learn that the greatest power of all is the power to remain yourself, while helping others become their best selves. The architect's legacy lived on, not in the technology they had created, but in the wisdom they had finally learned to share. And humanity had proven that sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use the power you have. The story was complete. The cycle was broken, and the galaxy was free to grow in ways the architects had never imagined possible. It was, in the end, exactly what they had always hoped for.